quarter we shaded spheres with graphite, but today we're doing it with colored pencils. So you should have your paper already set up like this with the borders. If you do not, you need to go back to that video and photo. There's a video on how to draw the circle, and there is a photo about how your paper should be set up. So doing warm tones means things that are colors that come across as hot. And based on this 12 pack of colored pencils that we have, we're going to be working with red, orange, yellow, and then I've got trusty blue here as a complement. So we'll need blue later on. Now I like to start with the lightest color and shade in from there. I have my light source marked, so this is where the light is going to be directly hitting this sphere. Okay, so we want to leave that white. We do not want to color that in at all. So what I'm going to start doing is laying a very light layer of colors. Sort of around the perimeter of the sphere. Now you are also going to want to leave an area down here that follows the contour of the sphere lighter, okay? And we'll address that in a little bit. But you want to leave that one lighter. That's going to be for your reflected light. Okay. So I'm just doing a light layer. Now you're going to find that we're doing lots of light layers. This is all about blending, and you need to take your time. This is my orange. So I'm going to start down here, and I'm going to start adding this color. Now I'm using very short up and down strokes. There are times when circular strokes work as well. You'll also notice that I'm not choking this color pencil. I'm not way down holding it like I would sign my name. I'm back here. And the reason for that is that you have to use lighter pressure when you hold it back there. And so that's going to give you, it actually gives you a lot of control too. You might need to practice it a little bit, but it will give you control. So I'm going over a lot of the areas that I went over with the yellow, with the orange. We are starting to just build up very light values, very light color right now on this ball. Okay. I'm still avoiding this big area in the middle for now. I'm also coloring with the side of the color pencil, and that gives me more surface area, so more color is being laid down at a time. Okay. There is going to be an area that's a little bit darker here. But basically I'm following the contour of the ball. I'm layering as I go. So I'm not just like coloring across the ball. We don't want to do that. We do want to follow the contours of this sphere. Sorry, I keep calling it a ball. So that we get that really nice rounded appearance on our ball. You see how many times I just keep going back and forth over this ball, right? I'm trying again to avoid some of the area back at the back here because our reflected light's going to be there. So while it is going to have color, it is not going to be nearly as dark as the rest of this. All right, so now I'm taking my red. You do not want to create hard edges. That's what we're trying to avoid. We want it to be blended and very smooth. So I am shading in very, very light layers. This is going to take a lot of layers, guys. The Gummy Bear project, or I keep calling it Gummy Bear project, but the Candy project is going to take us a while. But your results are going to be so worth it. Okay. So I'm going in. I'm going to layer a little bit of the red down in here, but not very much. So back here in this area is where the ball has turned away from the light source, so that's going to be the darkest area of the ball. Okay. So it's almost like a band that goes across this ball and starts to come back. We have reflected light back here. So this is where, okay, see, anytime you start to see yourself getting like a harder edge, like of your color, you want to go back and make very little tiny layers to blend that back in. We don't want hard edges. We want this to be nice and smooth. Like this ball's made of metal or something, or it's a marble. Sometimes.
Teachers and students, please excuse the afternoon announcement.
Please excuse the afternoon announcement.
Boys soccer. Reminder, JV and varsity need to be at the stadium tomorrow by 5 p.m.
So now
for a scrimmage game for the senior night. Again, this is just
a
reminder for JV and varsity boys soccer. You need to be at the stadium tomorrow by 5 for the scrimmage game for the senior night. Thank you.
Now I'm going back in with my yellow again. That was the first one I laid down. And I'm blending in a little bit with that. And I'm still using light pressure, guys. This is light pressure. But the yellow kind of goes in and it fills in some of the areas. You can see, I feel like I'm barely touching it. Again, I hate this analogy of tickling the ball. But that is essentially what I'm doing. Use a little bit more yellow down here. So I'm already 9 minutes in and I do not have a lot of layers here. So that's an indication of how long this might take you, especially if you are new to shading. I am maintaining that white. I refine the shape of it, but I am doing my best to maintain it. Okay. And I'll come back in with my orange. I like to start here because this area is kind of curved back from this spot. And so it's a good little place to begin. And I'm going to work on this middle band a little bit more. So layers, 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 layers. What is the name of the game? Light pressure and layers. This is very zen. This would be a good thing to do with some music on in the background. If you doodle, I find myself shading spheres a lot. Come back up in here a little tiny bit. I left my pencil outline so that you guys could see it on the screen, but really it should have been even lighter than that. You don't want it sticking out because it's going to flatten out. You don't want an outline, it's going to flatten out your image. And we're trying to get a very, very round ball happening here. Trying to like blend it into the ball a little bit. So I'm going to come back down here again. You see how these like 3 colors, they really give you this rich, real looking effect that you wouldn't get if you were just using one color to shade the ball. Of course we can do that. We've done it with graphite, but it just doesn't look the same. And if you can do this, like this is where your realistic tones are going to come in to play when you're shading anything but your candy, since candy's coming up. All right, I'm going to do one more pass in red. It's not going to be finished. Oh, sorry, this is like all over the place. But it's going to darken up this area for you. It's going to show you, let's see, work on getting this. Again, very light passes still. I know that's crazy. You're like, Mrs. Draper, okay. But it's true. You really need to have light, light, light layers. Because if you color too heavily, you're going to fill up all the paper. There's not going to be anywhere for your color pencil layers to grab onto because we're building up layers of wax. And so we do want this to look kind of red. This is a very orangey red, so my ball is turning pretty orange, but sometimes I just gotta turn it. Sorry, folks. Sometimes to get into these little areas and still follow the contour of the ball, I gotta turn it. Lefties, you may want to get into the habit of turning the ball even more, so you're not passing over it, over your work with your hand. So you can still smudge color pencil, as you probably already know. Okay. So you can see we're getting some nice build-up. That is what you don't want to do. And I will show you how to fix something like that if it occurs on your face in another video. Okay. Bob Ross, right? No mistakes, happy accidents. There we go. I almost said no happy accidents. Like, that's his whole thing. All right, so you can kind of see where I'm headed with this. All right, lots of layers. Okay, so we're getting there with the ball. This video is getting long, so I'm going to pause it, and I will pick back up for part 2.